Well, hey everybody, welcome back. This is Kelsey with Alchemist Knits. It has been a hot minute since I've seen you guys, so welcome back. Today, I don't think we're really going to talk about much knitting. We're mostly just going to talk about wool, spinning, Tour de Fleece, upcoming plans, a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of wool. So, let's get started with, we'll talk kind of briefly about Tour de Fleece because I was gone for like the first week of it on vacation with my family. And then I came back and I had started some projects before I left. And so it's kind of, I didn't do a good job of keeping track of what I did specifically during Tour de Fleece and what I had done before it. So it's going to be kind of loosey-goosey. I'm not going to do my usual thing this year of counting yardage and counting the weight of everything that I spun. As much as I love doing that, it just didn't happen this year, and that's okay. So the first thing I have to show you, before I left, I started spinning some Jacob for a project, the little scorpion sweater. And so I think I had it mostly all carded before I left on vacation, and I had already started spinning some of it. So I finished it up, and I have, I think, just one more skein of this. Finished up the Jacob. It's a one strand Jacob merino cross sheep. So this is from two different sheep. One of the sheep is a Jacob, one of the sheep is a Jacob merino cross U. And the Jacob's name is Emerald, and the Jacob Merino cross's name is Siggy. So this is Emerald and Siggy, spun, plied together, good times. And so I finished that up during Tour de Fleece, and then I also started spinning and finished a, here we go, here's the little sample one of it. My little test run, or no, this was the leftovers. This is one strand of the black parts of Emerald's fleece. So I combined the white and some of the black and a lot of the gray sections because Emerald is a spotted Jacob. So she had white and gray and black in her fleece. And so I took the darkest parts of that and spun up a strand. And then I did a strand of Shetland and Emerald's darkest parts of her fleeces left. So it's one strand of Emerald, one strand of a 50-50 blend of Emerald and Shetland together. So really pretty. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. And then we've got the full thing of it. So the only reason I'm showing this is because I already skeined up to start doing a swatch because I was figuring out my yardage. I was figuring out how I was going to work this up because my yarn ended up being a heavy fingering kind of sport weight. And so I had to do some funny maths with it. So we have, here is the rest of the darkest color. Here's the middle color. And then this is from, leftover from my other Jacob project that I did, where I did a gradient of white, like light gray to medium gray, dark gray, and then into the black for another project that I did. And so I didn't use up the whitest part of it for that one. And so I over dyed it and I made this pretty like pinkish. I was going for like an oxblood dark maroon color, but it didn't quite get to that. I'm happy with it though. It's more of like a pinky sort of color. It's still a very good color for what I'm wanting to do. And then I cast on with, I think, size 3 needles and did a little swatch to get my row gauge, to get my stitch gauge, to figure out what size to do. So we've got that. Can we focus? Yes. Come on. So you can kind of see we've got good contrast between all the colors. That's really what I was testing for, to make sure that I had good enough contrast that the pink would stand out against the gray, that the pink also wouldn't blend in too much with the almost black. So we're good to go on that one. And I got all the numbers. I got all the numbers that I need for that. So that's what I finished up during Tour de Fleece. Was all of that and these skeins. One or two of these I finished before Tour de Fleece. So that is what it is. And then, and that little, yeah, this little test guy. Woo! So I finished up a spin for one fingering sport weight sweater. And then I decided, when the Antipodes sweater came out by Andrea Mowry during Tour de Fleece, I decided that I needed to spin for that sweater too. So I went and looked at my braids and I found the perfect color for the contrast color. And look at that. This is also probably more of a sport weight. It varies a little bit fingering to sport, but we've got a little less than 400 yards. We have 380 something, I think. I don't know where I put the tag for this. I wrote down the information on my phone, and I'm using my phone to record, so oops. But yeah, so this will be plenty enough for the contrast color. And then for the main color, I have not started spinning it yet. I did a test spin a while ago for this fleece. Behold my bejangles bag full of fleece. So this is about, just about 3 pounds of washed fiber. And let me show you, I wish I had a lock. Okay, we have some variation here. Let me see this. We have got, so you can see there's some really dark, there's some dark parts and there's some light parts. Can we get it to like focus? There we go. So it's a really, really pretty dark gray, bluish gray, charcoaly kind of fleece. And then the brown parts of it on the tips kind of like warm it up a little and give it a bit of a brown. So let's see if you can see this. So yeah, it looks kind of like a really dark brown. Let's undo it. See if we can get a little bit. Really, really pretty. And so it's a little bit more, so let's compare it to this guy. Can we hold both? Yes. So you can see that it's definitely not black like this one. That it's more of like bluish, grayish, brownish, really cool depth going on. So we've got, it's going to be main color of this with background of that. So yeah, I've got this entire fleece that I can do that with. I have not started it at all. I just did this when I first got it and first washed it, and I was really excited. I just wanted to see what color it was going to come up as. And so I just did a quick little 2-ply sample out of that. It's a very bouncy, I didn't even tell you what it was. It's a Rommeldale CVM. So very, very bouncy type of wool, a lot of good crimp, very, very soft. Every CVM I've worked with has been some of the softest fiber I've ever had. So that is going to be super soft. This is a Shanico wool. I think that's merino, is it? Also very soft, very squishy. Very, very nice. Also a 2-ply. So we're going to do 2-plies for both on that one. So, plans for 2 fingering light sport weight sweaters for myself this year. Is it crazy? Maybe. I don't know. I just love spinning and I love knitting, and so it'll get done when it gets done. It's not like it has a deadline. I just get excited and inspired for these projects, and I figure out the perfect use for the fleeces that I get, and as soon as they speak to me, I start spinning. So that is what everybody told me they wanted to be, basically. and I listen. So I also finished up a spin for a customer of mine. She sent me fleeces from 2 of her baby dolls, a white one and a brown one. So I'll put a picture here of the finished ones. And that's a really good show of how much wool you can get from a fleece of a mini breed. So she ended up with around 2 pounds from each of them. And I even did a little combination. I had like 2 ounces left of the white and the brown. So I just plied them together and made a really pretty marled colored yarn. And she loved it, and she wants to do more of those next year. So mission success. So I finished up that spin. I had started it before I left, but I did a bulk of it during Tour de Fleece and just cranked through it so I could get it back to her. So that one was a lot of fun. I got to work with Baby Doll. Love Baby Doll. I think that's all I did for Tour de Fleece. All I did. I mean, it was a lot, but I think that covers everything from Tour de Fleece. So that's done. Hooray, Tour de Fleece, good times, Tour de Femmes. I finished up the Baby Doll fleeces, like through Tour de Femmes as well. I finished that up a couple weeks ago. So I think it was during Tour de Femme that I finished it up. So now I'm working on, I have a bunch of fleeces from another customer that I had spun for. I spun up 2 fleeces for her and sent them back. She loved them, and she's like, can I send you some more fleeces? I was like, yeah, sure, sounds good. Another 2-3 fleeces. 3 boxes, massive boxes of fleeces. And it felt like Christmas when they arrived. I was not expecting this much fleece. Let me see if I can turn you around real quick. So, box number 1 has like 2 or 3 fleeces. Box number 2, this is actually from box number 3. This entire bag, vacuum bag, that's probably 3 or maybe 4 fleeces. And then there's another one underneath that. And then we'll talk about that in just a second. So, whoa, hope I didn't make you too sick or mess up the camera angle too much. So that's 3 bags. I've already opened up one, and I've already washed all the fleeces in that one. There was one Baby Doll that was too short. It was like 1 inch long and super dirty, and I'm like, we can't do anything with that. So unfortunately that one had to go be mulch. But the other East Frisian, and there was part of another Baby Doll, I think that was fine. That one's only going to be like 1 skein's worth, I think, of what was good and not completely covered in poop and was long enough. And it's carded up really, really pretty. And then this is East Frisian. I think they're not labeled, so she told me that they were East Frisian, but some of them I'm pretty sure are Baby Doll just based on how the wool itself looks. And then I'm guessing the one that's not Baby Doll, that looks more like the East Frisians that my parents used to have, I'm guessing that's East Frisian. So this one I'm pretty sure is East Frisian. And it's really pretty. It's coming up. It's less fluffy than I thought it would be, and more like long and shiny, almost a little bit more like Romney-ish, that type of breed. And I'm really, really liking it. So the first couple skeins are done. So that's kind of fun. It's like, it feels a little bit heavier and denser, where Baby Doll feels super light and airy and woolen and like almost like it weighs nothing. This feels a little bit more solid and dense, even though I use the exact same method of spinning. I do woolen spun, I do long draw, my classic spinning style, and I just let it be however thick it wants to be using my baseline spinning style so that they're as even across the board as they can be. And this just comes out feeling a little heavier, denser, shinier. So it's really, really fun to see, like, with your same spinning style, the difference in how the wool behaves to create a yarn. So look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's beautiful. I love that. So we should probably get maybe 4 skeins from that one. That one's going to be kind of small because it was also, I had to skirt pretty aggressively with those. I think I'm going to have to skirt pretty aggressively with all of them. There's going to be some like gross bits and short bits and all that kind of stuff. But with this much, I mean, she's still going to get a lot back. I'm really excited for that. So that's what I have customer-wise right now. I have a couple more customers. I'm waiting for them to send me their wool. So the spinning train keeps on going. We're keeping it busy, keeping it spinning. I am in a spinning mood right now, which is amazing because, you know, you wouldn't want to get bored of spinning when your job right now is spinning. So it's been a lot of fun. That is customer stuff. Let's move on to, I have a dream. I had an idea, an epiphany of doing collections where I start with the raw fleece and I spin it, you know, just like I do for my customers, just like I do for myself. Spin the wool, spin the entire fleece, see how much yarn I get from it, see what the weight is, pick a pattern, create a pattern, whatever, you know, whatever the wool tells me it wants to be, sweater, scarf, hat, whatever. Spin the entire fleece, see how much I have, and then create these garments from these fleeces and have like a theme, and then release a collection of, let's say, a couple sweaters, a couple scarves, some hats, shawls, whatever I can make from what I've been able to spin up, and release this collection of handmade garments. So that is the big dream. After I finish up all my customer stuff, like, you know, I'm planning on putting together a newsletter, a website, all these big kind of scary things. And so for my first collection, we'll see if I can accomplish it. I would love to do a collection this winter, but I would be like starting not from scratch because I have already washed wool, so I wouldn't have to do that step, but the spinning, so the carding, the spinning, the knitting would all need to be done starting now and be done with all of that in time for a winter collection release. So maybe it'll be like midwinter after Christmas. It'll depend how fast I can get things done. I have a few months, so we'll see how fast I can accomplish it, but that is the big dream. And so the collection idea I have for this winter is titled Winter Flock. And the idea with this is that it's going to be specifically local fleeces. So I order fleeces from all over. I get like this beautiful charcoal one is from Pennsylvania, so it's still East Coast. My baby doll comes from Alabama, so it's just a couple states over from me. I live in North Carolina. And I've gotten, the Jacob is from, I think it's from Washington, so that's all the way across the US. All of my fleeces are local to the country of the US, but for this specific release, for this specific collection, I want it to be local to me in North Carolina, maybe even within like a 5 to 20 mile radius. I'm still settling on the fleeces themselves, but let me go ahead and show you what I have. I may potentially do this collection just with fleeces from my parents' farm, and they live less than 5 miles from me. So it might be a that local to me kind of collection. We shall see. So the first one, let me get my notes. Excuse me. This first one, and I need to label these. This first one is Kalinka. This is one of my parents' Romneys. Now, just to let y'all know, to put it out there, my parents got older and they no longer have those sheep, but we still have fleeces from the past couple years from all the sheep they had, like in a barn, waiting in nice plastic bags, waiting for me to come wash them and do them, stuff like that. So there's a backlog of fleeces from their farm, but they don't currently have the sheep anymore. So this is from one of their Romneys, Kalinka. Oh, look at that. This is gorgeous. And this, mind you, is not the entire fleece. Romneys are massive sheep. They have long wool, they have big fleeces, they get to be big sheep. Look at that gorgeous fleece. And like, there is not a lot of VM in here either. These are beautiful, beautiful sheep. And so this is a gray with brown. And so it'll come out to be like a very warm gray, cool brown sort of thing. We have, how much? About 13 ounces of this. So maybe not enough for an entire sweater, probably. But I'm thinking this would make an amazing, like, cabled seed stitch sort of scarf. I have ideas. I've been putting together, like, an idea list of different patterns that kind of inspire me, that fit the vibe of these wools. But I haven't really settled on anything yet. So that is the first one, is Kalinka. Already washed, ready to go. This next one is Fairlina, her sister. Oh, man, these are so beautiful. This one is a full pound after washing. And again, it's not the full fleece. So I've been messing around because these fleeces are so huge. I would just like take a big clump of it, like 8 ounces, 4 ounces, whatever. And I would over dye it with things. I'd mess around with art yarns. Like, I've been using Romney for a lot of different things. We've got a nice little burr in it. That's how you know it's real wool from the real sheep, you know? And this one, she's a lighter one. So she's kind of a light gray, light brown. We do have a few darker parts. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, like almost steely gray. That looks brown. But the bottom parts of them are like a steely kind of gray, as opposed to the lighter gray. So we've got, you know, dark. That looks pretty chocolatey, you know? And then we've got, yeah, look at this. Look at the range in this one. So like we've got the dark chocolatey, we've got like a mid kind of one, and then we've got this light gray. Like, oh, man, like what a beautiful fleece. And I think this is their 2023 fleece, I want to say. It's their earliest one. And I think there's still more, like, in the barn. So, oh, I'm so excited. And it's so soft. And it's going to have such good stitch definition. This is good. They're going to be good for, like, cables and texture stitches kind of things. So we have a full pound of this one. This could make a sweater. Maybe. I have one in mind if I can get enough yardage from it. But this is going to be an absolute dream to work with. So thus far, okay, actually let's move on to the next one. Next we have Illyria, who is the, okay, so we have this entire, here we go. This is also not the full fleece, because because she's a white Romney, she's great for over dyeing and stuff. So this was the other ewe. They had 4 ewes and 1 ram. Kalinka, Fairlina are the 2 brown ones. And then there's Illyria, who is the white one. Mary Jane, who was a white one. She was kind of a runt, so her fleeces were typically shorter. And then Valerian was the ram. I think there's still more fleeces of all of theirs still at my parents' house. So exciting stuff. We've got, and all of their fleeces are gorgeous. Like, ugh. Look at this. Okay, can we? I want you to be able to see the full thing, but I also don't want my face in the way. Like, my goodness. And it's just the whole fleece is like that. There's still some like kind of dirty tips and stuff on it, and there's going to be burrs and what have you. But wow. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know if I'm going to get sick and tired of Romney. I don't know how you could. Oh, that is beautiful. And so we have how much of that? 22 ounces. There's a lot you can do with 22 ounces. So this is going to be a lot of Romney. It'd be a very Romney heavy collection, which I think is fine. So we've got, yeah, like 1.5 pounds-ish, almost 1.5 pounds of Illyria's fleece. So that's the other one. And then mixing it up, an East Frisian named Elizabeth. And I brought hers home a couple months ago. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to grab one of these bags here in the barn and bring them home and wash them and slowly work my way through them. So we have Elizabeth here who's already washed. She had a pretty small fleece after it was skirted. Not a very large fleece. So raw, it was only 1 pound. I must have aggressively skirted this one. I think so. Maybe she was, I don't think she was one of the young ones. She's an East Frisian. And after washing, we got 12.8 ounces. So we've got my classic Bejangles bag filled with good old East Frisian. So let's get some. This is going to be very soft and bouncy. Maybe a little shinier than Baby Doll, but let's see. It's blockier than the one I'm working up for someone else. So it's just interesting. East Frisians are generally more bred for dairy breeds. They were some of the first sheep that my parents got because they wanted dairy sheep. And so, of course, East Frisians are the way to go. And then they had to get them sheared every year. And so you're going to get some variance because wool isn't generally the first goal of East Frisians. It's kind of a secondary thing. So you can see we have a much shorter staple length here. It's much fluffier. It's got good crimp to it, though. It's got good bounce. This is going to behave much more like a Southdown than the Romney wool. The Romney is going to be super shiny, have a lot of drape to it, have a lot of stitch definition. This is going to be more fluffy, bouncy, kind of have that soft, blendy, like you're not going to get good stitch definition, but it's going to look cozy and warm. And so this is probably going to make really, really good hats. That might be what we go for here, hats and scarves. We might do, how much do we have, 12.8 ounces? I don't know that we're gonna get like an actual sweater garment out of this. Maybe a vest? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to spin it up and see. But this is cute. This will be a fun thing to mix it up between all of the Romney. I think this will be a lot of fun. She does have a good bit of VM. She was a VM magnet, so I'm gonna have to do some cleaning, some picking, some pulling apart and getting all these seed heads out. But it's cute, it's bouncy. It's all from my parents' farm. We also have, let me show you real quick. I just printed these out, just got these. These are my little cards. So you can see it comes 4 to a page and I can cut them out. And it's got identity and provenance. So like where they came from. So the name of the sheep, the breed of the sheep, what farm they came from, the location of the farm, when it was acquired, and what the natural color is. And then you've got all of the information of like how much it weighed, when you got it raw, after it was washed, after it was carded, after it was spun, all those fun numbers that we all know and love. Like, why wouldn't you want to know that from all of your fleeces? And then like a section on spinning. So when it was spun, what the ply is, what the weight and yardage is. And then I like this is a new part for me, the garment part. So it includes, with the project down here, I don't know if you can read that, what pattern you're using for it, if you're not making it up yourself, like what pattern design you're using, what size or measurements you're going with, when you knitted it, and what the finished weight is. I think that's really cool information. I haven't done that on my previous cards that I used to hold with these, but I've added that on this one, and I'm kind of excited at that addition. And it's a one-sided, easy to print, and then I just keep this card in here in the bag with the fleece, and so as it moves along the process, once it's carded up and I put it into a bin, this card stays with it throughout the entire process. So love that new addition to my wool working process. So that's what we have so far. It are 2 grayish brownish fleeces, a darker gray brown and a lighter gray brown, and then 2 white fleeces. For this specific collection, I think I'm going to go natural. I don't think I'm going to over dye anything. That can be a fun one for a later collection, maybe in the spring or summer. But for this one, we're just going to go all natural colors. It's going to be a grand time. I originally, for this one, I was going to go with some Shetlands. I'll put a picture here. Beautiful natural colors. Like, it would be a sin to over dye these because of how beautiful these sheep are. So these are some fleeces I got from a local lady who's about 20 miles from me that I met at one of my spinning demonstrations at a farm. And she's like, I have 4 Shetland sheep. I would love to learn how to process their fleece. Can you teach me? So I went over, taught her the washing, the carding part of it. And as a thank you, she gave me all of these fleeces from her beautiful fine fleece Shetlands. Like, this is beautiful fiber. Where is... That is actually the black sheep that she has. I used in this one. So that's from her. And then this is some of the earlier stuff I've spun. This is definitely like Aran kind of weight. It's a thicker one, but it makes such beautiful, cozy, comfy knits. I love it. It makes amazing hats and shawls, and I want to make a sweater out of it one day. I made these 2 hats. They're the same hat. I love it, and they're so comfy. I already washed these. These are actually, I'm planning on sending them to her for her husband and her son as like a thank you gift for giving me these fleeces. So I've already washed them, so I'm not going to put them on. But I have this, and then I have an entire shawl that I made for her as a thank you, and I need to send that off to her at some point. So, oh, here's another one. This is from another one of her sheep. Like, oh my goodness, could you imagine the crime of over dyeing that? Like, oh, they're beautiful. So I think I've decided I'm going to save those fleeces for another season. Like, they could be their own collection, just those fleeces. So I'm going to save those, I think. And I think I've decided for this collection of garments, I'm going to use all sheep from my parents' farm. So it's going to be the super local collection of less than 5 miles from me. These sheep were raised there, sheared there. They traveled less than 5 miles to my house, washed, carded, spun, knit, all of that right here, super local. So excited for the winter flock collection. I hope to be giving more information on that soon, and have y'all follow along with the process of that, because I am so excited for it. So that's all my spinning updates. I need to do another video on what I've been knitting recently, but there's just been so much spinning. My life has just been spinning. So I wanted to hop on here and share with y'all all those spinning adventures. So that's all I have for now, and I will see y'all next time. stay woolly, and I guess I'll see ya.